Welcome back to the People's Mirror. So now something happened very interestingly yesterday. There was a Gen Z that took it to the rally where Rigathi Gachagua and Kalonzo alongside James Gakuya of Embakasi North constituency were having a roadside rally in Mwiki and talked to Rigathi Gachagua'S team, telling him that sometimes back in 2022, they had gone to the same place alongside President Ruto, and the same youth asked for help. And since then until now, he's not been helped. And so he was asking Mr. Rigiji to actually help him. We will put before the mirror the roadside rally because it elicited a lot of things, including the request by James Gakuya to actually be supported by this party in the major polls. And you see that's very interesting because James Gakuya is currently serving under the UDA party, and Mr. Nyikera, who is the former chairperson of KEMSA, is also within the DCP party and is a hopeful of a Nairobi county gubernatorial seat. Now for Mr. James Gakuya, it's very interesting because one of the things we're going to detail is the 180 million that has been set aside by the UDA party to carry out this grassroots elections, and one of the individuals that they have publicly blocked through the statements of Mwaura, the chairperson of the elections board of the UDA party, is Mr. James Gakuya, who they feel now individuals who have publicly declared their interest for DCP should not contest within the UDA elections. Now, Mr. Gakuya was eyeing the Nairobi branch chairperson under the UDA party while that memo came out, and in yesterday's rally, Mr. Gakuya was witnessed alongside Rigathi Gachagua also talking of fighting within the party. If this is your first time, your first time with our channel rather, please hit the subscribe button so that we keep detailing for you what happens in the Kenyan political scene as they unveil. So before we talk about the 180 million that is set aside to actually coordinate these campaigns and the way that the UDA party is now blaming their failing of holding these particular elections in the grassroots areas to Rigathi Gachagua, let us first start by the roadside attack that happened in Mwiki yesterday. So the United Opposition held their rally, as we detailed in our previous episode, here at Mwiki in a church, and after that they left for the road. And while at the road, it was thronged to the brim. Individuals were singing one term, and Rigathi Gachagua was electrifying the crowd in a very nice way. Of course, still talking about the sale of Safaricom and all these corporations which he had hinted in the church, and also asking the Gen Zs to actually take Ruto home in one term and kill the UDA party and replace that with the DCP party. You could see he was asking the youths, what is your party? And they'd be chanting the DCP party in that particular rally. So it's a replacement that is being done with party politics in that area. So he didn't spend so much time speaking on that particular part of the campaign trail, because as they were doing that rally, he took now the role of the MC, delegating people the duty to speak and when not to speak. And so after that introduction, he handed over to his cousin, Mr. Kalonzo Musyoka, to address the crowd. And you could see a little bit of difference. Let's talk a little bit into this one before we go into substance. When Rigathi Gachagua speaks, he electrifies his crowd. Somehow, he makes his crowd chant and sing along him. He has made his syllables sound like a song that he says and the crowd jeers. He says and the crowd jeers. And it's a very systematic way of really linking with the crowd. But when Kalonzo talks, he talks to his crowd. He does not electrify his crowd. He wants his crowd to listen so that he can tell his crowd what he feels like his crowd needs to hear. And now that is rather the complementary aspect of their two campaigns. One will come electrify the crowd, put the crowd on fire, and another will come and calm the crowd with their statements of rather facts to what the crowd needs to hear. It gives the image of praise and worship, of course, where the choir comes first, they praise, they electrify the crowd, then they worship in a calm manner. So the two really complement each other when it comes to political campaigns. And so when Mr. Kalonzo took it up after the electrified crowd, he went a little bit lower than the energy that Gachagua had created, and he was just talking to the people of Kenya about the aspects of now two-term not being tenable because of the weight weight that the current regime has put on the shoulders of an ordinary Kenyan person when it comes to the cost of living. And of course, in rallies, there are two particular audiences that a political image must entertain. There is the audience in the rally who must be talked to because they are listening in the rally. Then there is the bigger audience of the Kenyan citizens who will not be in the rally but will watch the rally from the reports that will come through the media space. And for sometimes when politicians talk in places like this, you find that they lack connection with the people at the rally because they are addressing a bigger audience, being the Kenyan people. And so Kalonzo did not spend much time in this rally side. He had spent so much time talking about whatever he believes in the church space. And so it's like they give the Roadside rally as an opportunity for the members of county assemblies, members of parliament, and hopefuls within Nairobi to actually speak to the people of Nairobi. And as a result, the microphone landed in the hands of one James Gachagua'S. Now, Mr. Gachagua'S has been the Bazenga individual you see in posters in Nairobi. James Gachagua'S, Bazenga, Chukua Kura. He has put a lot of big billboards across Nairobi. There is one around, I think, Westlands, when you're leaving Westlands. There is one in the Galleria part of that Langata Road. And there are others across the country of his face asking people to go and take votes. And Mr. Gachagua'S is in an interesting spot, as we said when we were starting this particular part of this episode, because he's currently under the UDA party. He is eyeing for the position of governor of Nairobi, and he was in the United Opposition's rally because previously he has declared his full support for Rigathi Gachagua. He's among the individuals who from the National Assembly are known for supporting Rigathi Gachagua while are still serving under the DCP party. And of course, you understand the implication of that, because if they were to resign from the party right now, it would mean that a by-election would be held in their respective positions. And so they are seeing the gap between now and 2027 as a very small one, and they are alleging their support to the other camp. That is Mr. James Gachagua'S. You can also add to that very list Mr. Boni Khalwale, or Dr. Boni Khalwale, who had since lost his privilege from parliament. So from parliament, of course, but the Senate. So Mr. Gachagua'S, when he took this particular microphone, said that he wants to be vying for the positions of the governor of Nairobi again in the next general election, and most likely want to do that under the DCP party. Now, this puts a lot of people in a lot of loggerheads, because within the DCP party is Mr. Nyikera, the former chairperson of KEMSA, who wants to actually vie for the position of the gubernatorial seat of Nairobi under the DCP ticket. Mr. Nyikera, when the first time that Rigathi Gachagua invited a ham of invitation to Mr. Sifuna and Babu Owino, Nyikera was the first to complain, or rather to welcome them, but with a pinch of salt, saying that when time comes for the party to decide who will take Nairobi, then the party should first consider those people who have been very loyal to the party. And so he's an individual that is eyeing this position of Nairobi's gubernatorial seat based on the DCP party. Then comes James Gachagua'S. James has been very loyal to Rigathi Gachagua's bid since his ouster as the deputy president. And so Mr. James is also saying that he is interested in that seat and has actually started putting his posters out. So he's most likely eyeing the DCP ticket come 2027, now that he has distanced himself with the UDA party to become the governor of Nairobi. And away from that, just in our previous episode, in this very day that this rally was being held in church, Kalonzo had said that they are opening doors for the likes of Babu Owino and Sifuna to come and join their camps and secure the position of Nairobi. So this rally was really heated because the DCP party has to decide between party loyals like Gachagua'S and Nyikera, and also they also have to decide alongside the interest of the Wiper party, which is inviting now Kalonzo and Sifuna. And so it's a very hard decision for this particular united opposition, and specifically for their cousinship, these two co-principals, when it comes to deciding the position of Nairobi. Or even if it's easy, it will be very, very difficult for their loyal members if they make the decision based on what is good for their arrangement ahead of 2027. So Gachagua'S used that opportunity to talk about his interests. Of course, Gachagua'S called the MCS to return back the impeachment motion that they had started against Mr. Sakaja. He told them that Sakaja is very incompetent, he should be be one term, and he shouldn't even finish his one term. He called upon the MCS to return the impeachment motion against him. So these political statements are being made ahead of 2027, and Gen Zs are the people put on the spot. And in this particular rally, one Gen Z asked for the microphone. He was neither an MP or an MCA. He just wanted to talk to Rigathi. And after shouting one term, he told Rigathi that some times back, Rigathi had come with President Ruto in 2023, and he had asked for help. And now he has never seen any help coming. So he asked Mr. Rigathi to actually address that and do something about it. And Rigathi Gachagua, who said that he has heard the young man, went on with the rally. We don't know much of what happened to him. Talking of President Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua, the UDA party has set aside 180 million for grassroots campaigns in 2026. And this entire money has been put so as to countenance or set up a ground for 2027. The way these particular grassroots elections are being targeted or being held in the regions where they have been held so far is very interesting, because it's running from a polling station position all the way to a county position. Within the polling station alone, the UDA party intends to have 20 officials from the polling stations across Kenya. A total number of these individuals that they seek to have elected into the UDA leadership will be a total of 246,000. Of course, that is a primary 246,000 votes ahead of the United Opposition's camp or anyone in 2027. And what these particular officials are expected to bring, if they were to bring 10 people each, just 10 people each from the polling stations to the county, then that will be a 2.4 million vote ahead of 2027's major vote. So how are they doing it? How do they intend to run it? Let us delve a little bit into it. Anthony Mwaura, who is the National Elections Board of chairman, or the National Elections Board chairman for this party, has declared that they do not intend to block any person from vying for these leadership positions, except individuals that have boldly previously declared their support for Rigathi Gachagua. And among the people that they have called by name is Mr. James Gachagua'S, who we have just talked about, who was in a rally with Rigathi Gachagua the other time. Mr. James Gachagua'S is now being blocked from his bid to vie for the chairperson position of the Nairobi branch because of his relationship with Rigathi Gachagua. So he maintains, however, that those who have publicly declared support for Mr. Gachagua will not vie for this particular UDA leadership positions. So people including Mr. Gachagua'S are barred from contesting for the positions where they had declared interest before. Mr. Gachagua'S, of course, as I said previously, had intended to vie for the chairperson position of Nairobi. So by January 10, they intend that all grassroots elections will have been done. By now, they have done grassroots elections in Homa Bay and they have done grassroots elections in Bungoma, but the grassroots elections were since stopped because of the June protests of 2024 by the Gen Zs. After the June protests, they have since done other areas. National Leader Party, of course, they have done other areas to total around 27. 27 that they have done by now, and they intend to do the rest of the counties by January 10th, so that the national leadership position of the UDA party should be created by April, giving them a space of that entire year and the beginning of next year to August to start campaigning now for their party. Now, of course, the national leadership of the party, as I said, is supposed or is intended to reflect the current realignments that have been made or have been done in the Kenyan political scene. So after the grassroots leadership will be over, they will go to a national leadership election before they hold their national delegate conference in April, so that the leadership of the party reflects the current realignments across the nation. Remember that they began this exercise in 2024 before it was hugely interrupted, and the grassroots mobilization is already done for now the areas where they intend to have the new elections, being majorly the mountain part and the Rift Valley part. From the mountain part, between now and January 10th, there will be mobilization in Kiambu County, in Tharaka Nithi County, of course Nakuru, Laikipia, such like places, and in the Rift, that gave Ruto a total of around 2.4 million votes last year, and additional 1.6 which came from the North Rift. So they take a look at this as a primary way of setting aside 2.4 million votes ahead of 2027. They have accused the delay that has existed in the Mount Kenya area and the North Rift area to the influence of Rigathi Gachagua that was taking over that area. But now that they have since seen the results that have come out of the by-election in Mbeere North, sources tell us that they are confident that moving into January 10th, these particular elections will be successful even in the Mount Kenya area, where now the UDA party feels like in the grassroots level, there are still individuals that are pro their ideas. So these two counties, or these two parts, these two counties, the counties of Homa Bay and the counties of Bungoma, are the two counties that formed part of the first 5 counties that was in the first phase of this program. By April this year, they had done another 27 counties. They had done another additional 25 counties, totaling to 27 counties that had since done their election. Now, this 180 million is set for 10 counties that are scheduled for January 10th in Mount Kenya, and 10 counties that are scheduled for the same January 10th in the Rift Valley. In Mount Kenya, of course, now they are looking at Tharaka Nithi, Kiambu, Kirinyaga, all the counties in Mount Kenya, including Laikipia. And in the Rift Valley area, they will do a sweep all the way from Nakuru to Baringo and such like places where they have not done this particular exercise that is seeks to get the new members, new leaders for the UDA party, totaling to 246,000 UDA officials across the county. So 20 officials, as I said, will come per polling stations, and Mr. Mwaura explains that the reason for this is to ensure that the support of the party gets to the grassroots level. Of course, just a little commentatorship on this movement by the UDA party. First, 180 million is so much money to put in this particular grassroots nominations and elections, but they are saying it's to secure transport facilities and also the voting facilities. It also looks as a way of setting aside money to primarily convince the voter between now and 2027 to stay UDA. And you see, when you are already elected a party official at the grassroots level, in the grassroots level, it's different from the city politics. It gives you some level of leadership reverence that you have towards your community. So going to vote against the party that has given you that position is very hard. And so if they are totaling or targeting a total of 246,000 people to become party officials across the nation, imagine if from this alone, from this 246,000, each was to bring 4 people from their families, making them 5 from the families, and each from the family was to bring an additional friend, as I said in the beginning of the pod, making it 10 for each individual that is elected a leader. And now, because you already elected a leader of a political party, you would not just want to bring your 5 friends and your families to that party. You'd want to try and show within the polling station that you have been elected to your ward leader that you are someone that can be, entrusted with more responsibilities moving forward. So most likely the list that a polling station leader would try to bring to Jubilee will be 20 votes. Now that will be around 4.8 million votes across the nation that is set to the Jubilee, to the UDA party into the 2027 major election that the united opposition will be dealing with. It's a strategy that is good politically, and so the united opposition should also get a leader, or rather an agreement leadership quickly, even if it's not the flag bearer, and come up with a plan of registering officials for that coalition at the grassroots level and start mobilization, because this way it saves you a lot on campaign time and money, and it's a movement that grows on its own because you have entrusted the people with the leadership position. So we look at how this is going to play. For the UDA party, ahead of January 10th, now that Mr. Mwaura has promised January 10th to be the D-Day that all this grassroots will be done, by the time the party will be holding their national delegates conference in April, then this exercise should and will have come to an end. It's been a pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, recapping for you that here at the People's Mirror. Until our next episode.